90.3 WHPC now presents Law You Should Know. The law affects every aspect of our lives, our home, our jobs, and our recreational activities. Now, learn about the law and how to protect yourself against the loss of your liberty or property, and learn how to stand up for your rights and seek compensation when you have been wronged. Your host for Law You Should Know is attorney Kenneth J. Landau, a past dean of the Nassau Academy of Law, and frequently lectures to lawyers on ethics and avoiding problems with clients, and to the public on how to choose and use lawyers. This is Law You Should Know on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hi, this is Ken Landau, and welcome to Law You Should Know. Today we're going to discuss tips to wellness for lawyers and others, and this applies to law students as well, especially during this time of COVID. Our special guest is Michelle Willette. She is the author of 5 Steps to Wellness, and she's also a certified mindfulness and wellness coach. Michelle, welcome to Law You Should Know.
Thank you for having me, Ken.
Many of our listeners and lawyers out there have locked themselves in to prevent from contracting COVID and just not leaving the 4 walls of their house or office or Starbucks. I'm glad that you can give them some ideas to promote and maintain their wellness and mindfulness, and can keep up their game as they're approaching studying, working as a lawyer, or perhaps another business person or professional. Why is wellness more important now than ever?
Well, Ken, it is absolutely our natural state of being. We are seeking it even if we don't know what it is. And with COVID and being locked down, we have lost the ability to expand ourselves into personal relationships, personal spaces, and relationships outside of the office that allow us to be more who we are as a person. And without that, we're missing that wellness piece. So my strategies are how to find that while we're locked in the office. And
these are little steps or baby steps toward that path.
Absolutely. These are things that can be done in just moments a day.
And we're going to go down that list. We're also going to cover what other ideas are in your book and how that can be of help to people, and what other information that's of value is on your website. But let's start out with a very basic thing, the pocket token. What is that, and how can that help someone in coping with the stress of work and wellness and COVID?
The pocket token is the suggested use of something that you can hold in your hands that reminds you on a daily, regular basis to stop in the moment and think about an action that you might have to do or a situation that may be stressful. And the token could be anything. It could be the first dollar bill that you've ever made. It could be a stone from your garden. It could be a coin that you have collected over the years for some specific reason. It could literally be anything, but it should be something small that you can carry with you, that helps you to have that reminder in any situation, whether it's the courtroom, whether it's in the office, whether it's home with your family.
And along with that, why is downtime or time down so important to us all?
Well, I think that is one of the ones that speaks directly to our attorneys that are listening in. The demands of high corporate positions or law of any kind, the demands are so high that we don't often have the time for downtime. So making time for little tiny pieces of that throughout our day are absolutely instrumental to our well-being. And it doesn't have to be more than a minute, 30 seconds even. Just being able to take the stress from your legs and your back and your neck into a different position and allowing your energy and your blood to flow and just refreshing you from the inside out. It is so very important.
And these tips that you're offering and the ones yet to come are going to help someone mentally and physically. They're going to help clear their head, open them up to new ideas, maybe to brainstorm or tackle a project that they have to accomplish.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And what about the hula girl or something with motion on your desk?
Right.
And what alternatives are there to the hula girl?
There is anything that creates motion. We've seen the silver balls on the strings, right? As you move one, they all tap, or little windmills. There's different things that you can have on your desk that are very small that have emotion to them. And if you've got that, it catches your eye in such a way that it takes your focus, even briefly, away from, again, something stressful, something that's really deep. Maybe you're trying to consider an answer that you need to put into a brief, let's say, there's got to be something that's very, very clearly stated. Take a minute, look at the little thing, whatever it is, moving on your desk, and let it pull your focus away for a moment. And when you pull it back, you're a little more clear, things are a little bit less fuzzy, and you're able to move forward from a better mindful state.
And what if it was one of those changing photographs of family or friends or places you've been? Would that work as well?
Yes, that is a great, absolutely, and that does two things, really, Ken. Not only does it give you that motion on your desk, but it reminds you of the people that are not in your space for so many hours during the day, maybe the joyous things that you have outside of what you're doing currently and why you're working so hard. That's never a bad thing.
Okay, and along that line, what about fidgeting for fun?
Excuse me. Fidgeting for fun is strictly, and it could be anything again, it's the motion of moving your hands in a way that is creating blood flow in your fingers, in a way that is small motions. And it could be anything. It goes along with a pocket token, picking a stone out of your pocket and just rolling it through your fingers, even with your hand in your pocket. Having something to move that motion and getting that blood flowing actually creates a pull from your heart through your entire system into those fingers. It clears the mind, it gives you some extra energy, and it makes you feel physically better.
Could it even be, one of those squeeze things for exercise, or working with a rubber band or something that was going to physically and mentally give you a break? Yes,
stress balls are great. I also recommend bands. The bands that you use to stretch with, something like that, also a great way to fidget.
And does exercise count as fidgeting? So you could take 2 minutes out, 5 minutes out, an hour, every hour or two, just to do some little exercise to get the blood flowing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The mind can't work without the body, and the body can't work without the mind. And everything that I teach is really about how do we combine this to bring us to the best possible version of ourselves in any particular moment.
And let's lump them together, the dash dot and getting grounded. What's the goal of physically moving and taking a little break from work?
Well, I am a firm believer that fresh air and sunshine and all of that really does cleanse us from the inside out. So anytime that we have an opportunity to step away from what we're doing, even if it's, again, for just a minute of your day, and getting outside where there's some fresh air, sitting down maybe, slipping your shoes off, anything that you can do to really connect with nature a little bit will free your mind. And as far as the dash dot, very similar situation. When you are out and about, having something available that can actually pull your focus, like something in your vehicle. And it could be a dot on your windshield, but something that reminds you to connect with something outside of yourself.
Should you also take a little bit of time during the day to do, if there's phone calls you have to make, appointments you have to set up, things on your to-do list, should you allocate a little space for those items? And I mean very little, but just so you can get them out of the way, especially if they're important, and this way your head will be a little clearer knowing that's done?
Absolutely, and any time that you can put those kind of smaller or mundane tasks that need to happen earlier in your day and get them over with, it definitely frees up your mind to focus on bigger things without the noise of something smaller. Absolutely.
And is it good maybe with a friend or relative or family just to take a 5-minute, let's say, break? And I'll say maybe a phone call, maybe walking over to a colleague, and just to take a break, to physically and mentally take a break from work and the pressures of work.
Absolutely. If we are in the office and we have that availability to walk to the office next door or down to the water cooler and just greet a coworker, that's fantastic. Pick up the phone, do a FaceTime or call somebody. Get on a Zoom. If you've got someone that you can connect to that's maybe not local and you're stuck in your office, and with COVID, that's a safe way to do it. Anything where you can get that kind of face-to-face action, or at least voice-to-voice action, definitely resets the mind.
And if you were guiding employers, if you were consulting with employers, is it important for them to encourage it so they give their workers a chance to clear their minds and take a physical and mental break? So it'll be more productive afterward?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, a lot of these things that we're talking about today can come directly from my leadership training that I do with large corporations. When I go in and I teach these folks how to build leaders going forward, These are instrumental pieces to it. We have to allow our folks that work for us be empowered to stop and walk away, to make that phone call, to grab something to fidget with, because it is so important for their productivity, for us, and their well-being, which again benefits us.
And maybe it's good if it extends with if them, physically talking or walking to a coworker, so they're, beyond the business arrangement, just especially after COVID and people have been through so much, just to allow time and space for that to happen, or maybe to check on a client also, to just keep in touch with them, but as part of a scheduled short break, just to check on, reach out and touch someone.
Right. Reaching out is huge, especially with COVID. So many of us feel very disconnected, hopeless, a lot of fear. And anytime we can reach out to another human being and just have those moments, it's better for everyone involved.
And it's sort of the golden rule. We probably might appreciate if someone reached out to us, not to distract us for the whole day, but just to check on us and see how we're doing. Yes, we would definitely hope, right, that would be the case. And again, it's important for employers to encourage it and tolerate it for the greater good and the well-being of their staff. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. I would like to remind our listeners that we're talking with Michelle Willette. She's a mindfulness and wellness coach. She's also the author of 5 Steps to Wellness, and we'll find out more about what she covers there shortly. You're listening to Law You Should Know on WHPC 90.3 FM, and you can hear a podcast of this program if you missed any portion or want to hear it again or tell someone else about it at nccradio.org. And you're hearing us from the studios of WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College in Garden City, Long Island, New York. Some of your other suggestions, Michelle, are for a quit-hit activity. What do you mean by that, and what are some alternatives in case we're not a fan of a quick-hit activity? The idea behind that is to have something set up and ready to go, especially in the world of law, and again, with the busy schedules and the hours upon hours of deep thinking and really being involved in what they're doing. Having things set up that they know they have available to go to for that 1 minute of stress relief. My attorney has a basketball ring hanging in his office, and he will sit at his desk and throw the little balls. And it could be anything like that. But he has it there. He may not use it every day, but it's available to him, and he knows it's there, and it helps him remember to stop and do. And that is where that came from. So quick hit activities could be anything. Literally anything. It could be a puzzle that you've got set up in your office. It could be a Zen garden where you are raking through the sand. It could be literally anything like that. Or reading one joke or something. Yes. Yes. And I'm sure you're going to work on that joke book for those breaks. And what about why is personal care also important while someone's in the office or working from home or at the Starbucks? Well, I'll tell you, personal care is literally a part of the foundation to wellness. If we are not taking care of ourselves, how in the world are we going to be able to take care of others? It is so vitally important that we take time every single day and do something for ourselves. And again, if we're stuck in the office or we're stuck behind the counter, we are limited sometimes as to when that's going to happen or how it's going to happen. Stretching is a great personal care thing, taking a few seconds, no matter where you're standing, and just stretch something out, the neck, the shoulders. I love frozen eye masks or little things like that you can grab out of your personal freezer, sit down for a second and just put them on your face and let that cool you, little things like that to bring oxygen into the blood. That is personal care on a very high level, believe it or not. And what about from the world of sound? What kind of sound is good in the background or during a break? Well, I think that's very individualized. Our brains are cognitively attached to vibrations, and for everybody it's different. So the soundtrack in the background really should be the music that resonates with the individual. I couldn't put on classical and listen all day, but my neighbor probably, might feel that that's where his Zen moments really come from. It's about understanding that you have those personal choices and that you have that connection to whatever that vibration is, that type of music, and play it softly in the background or have it available to turn it on when you have those few moments to sit down and do some stretching or to take a walk and you can put your earbuds in and take it with you.
fantastic way to relax.
So some people need quiet and some people need a little sound during a break or perhaps ongoing.
Absolutely. It's very individualized.
And let's go from sound to tapping. How can someone use that to help them get through the day and keep a clear head and charge them with energy or recharge themselves?
Tapping is an emotional freedom technique, or an EFT, and it is absolutely activating the acupressure points in our body. And it is a very simple exercise. I have a walkthrough video on my website. You can find it on YouTube. There's a bunch of them. It takes just seconds, and it's about using your fingertips to tap on certain points like your wrists, your elbows, your temples, and it really does activate those acupressure points. It gets blood flowing. It frees the mind. It gives you a very personal care moment because you're taking care of you. It is a fidgeting piece. It is a getting grounded piece. It really kind of covers so much of what we're talking about here today.
What about solving a puzzle, especially for those so inclined? What are some different types of puzzle and why are they important?
There's a million of them out there. My brother is a woodworker, and he makes these beautiful little handheld woodworking pieces where if you take it apart, there's 25 pieces, and getting it back together is, for some, a nightmare. But it's those kinds of things, those things where you have to put thought into an action and combine those to create something from just different from what it is. A Sudoku puzzle, Rubik's Cube, Jenga, anything like that where you have to solve something. But it's not solving what's in front of you. It's stepping away and solving something else a little bit more fun, a little bit more relaxing, and then coming back to the big solutions that you have to make every day.
Okay. You mentioned your website before. Just tell us some of the other resources that are on your website and tell our listeners where to find it.
It is balanceyourpath.com, and what you will find on the website are links to our books, and they are being sold on Amazon, and they are ebooks downloadable. We have got some free trainings up there. One that we've just uploaded is a work-life balance that ties into a lot of these things here, but it really goes into some great detail. All of what we're talking about today will be on the website. There are links to all of my social accounts where you can come in and watch us and the videos on YouTube and the things like that we're doing in the training. And some other fun things just to get to know. My sister and I are co-founders of the company, and getting to know us a little bit and more about what we do and how we do it.
And putting fun into your workday, into that hour and into that 1 minute break is so important.
It is so important. Again, it's individualized. Some people don't find humor relaxing, and so for them it may not work. But me personally, it is a huge part of my day. I have to be able to stop and laugh something off, and that's a great stress relief if you can just find a reason to belly laugh for a few seconds.
And if someone's not inclined toward belly laughing or humor, how can you engage with someone, whether they're a coworker, whether it's some stranger in passing, whether it's someone at the coffee shop?
It's simple to find certain things, especially with what's going on with COVID. We are so disconnected from each other, and it could be as simple as a thanks for doing that for me, or, hey, I noticed you did, this in the office this morning. I just really wanted to tell you I appreciate it, or I love the shoes you're wearing. It could be anything small like that to just engage with them on some personal level outside of the project that you're working on.
And it could even be with a stranger, too. People are more open to a positive comment because everyone has been through a lot.
Absolutely. If you have somebody opening a door for you at a convenience store even, say thank you. It makes you feel better. It definitely makes them feel better. And you don't know, but you could have just made someone's day with that small gesture.
Taking a step back to the office, how does lighting make a difference?
Oh, lighting is absolutely one of the most important things. And obviously, when we are working on the computers, we have the blue light coming at us, and we have a lot of things that are causing strain to our eyes. And being able to offset that a little bit with softer lighting in the room, it helps our vision. It helps our minds. It helps headaches go away. It helps us feel physically better. It creates a softer, warmer, more comfortable environment. Lighting is huge. Again, very individualized. Someone may want blinking colors, but it's based on the person and what they really connect to.
And if we don't have control of, let's say, the generic office lighting, what are some things someone can do?
You know what? If you don't have control over the big lights, turn them off. Go down and buy a little desk lamp that you can put on your desk that in moments when you really just want to relax or you have that moment to do a little stretching or something, click off the big light, turn on something soft, and just let that be your moment.
Now, we've been focusing on the person's head and maybe their hands and maybe their conversation, but what can they do in terms of their feet?
Well, lawyers, when you're in court all day, right, you have things going on. You're walking on hard marble floors a lot, right? A lot of students walking through classroom hallways. We spend a great deal of time walking from place to place, even in lockdown as we have been with COVID, and we don't stop to think about what that does to our alignment. Taking care of our feet is huge, and one of my favorite things is to get those little tiny water bottles, freeze it, and throw it under the desk, slip my shoe off for a few seconds, and roll the arch of my foot over that. It cools you, it changes your blood flow, it makes your feet healthier and happier, and it gives you that moment to just do a little self-care and relax.
And some type of foot roller might also help to keep your feet from, give them a break from all those shoes?
Absolutely, and there's so many to find, and they're inexpensive, they're easy to get, they slip under the desk, no one even needs to know that they're there. Slip off your shoes and roll your feet for a little while. It's great therapy.
Okay, I'd like to remind our listeners, you're listening to Law You Should Know on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College in Garden City, New York. We're talking with Michelle Willette. She is a mindfulness and wellness coach and also the author of 5 Steps to Wellness. You've heard many of her wellness tips, and we're going to talk about a few more. Why is smell so important, and how can that soothe you?
Well, if you think about it, Ken, when you were small, do you have any fond memories of Thanksgiving dinners or get-togethers with the family or a birthday party when someone was baking a cake? We attach joy on so many levels with the smell that we find in our space. Bring that to the office. Don't be afraid to bring things that make you feel relaxed and warm, and it really does improve cognitive function. It elevates calmness. It brings alertness, and it could be saging your office. It could be burning an incense or a candle. It could be bringing your favorite cologne and spraying the pillow on your couch. Anything like that allows that scent to be in your space brings those properties to you.
It would help keep us alert and
it does, absolutely.
And get through the day.
It does.
And what about wind chimes?
Wind chimes are brilliant, in my opinion. I think that everyone should have them, even when you don't have wind. Some sort of a low-level wind chime with the low tones. Hang it in your office, and as you walk by, maybe you're on your way out into the hallway to greet that coworker, swipe it with your hand and let it just sound off for a moment. There's something so relaxing, and it's also a sound and an action together, and it just puts a whole different vibe on the room, and it can literally change the way you're thinking at any given moment.
I do want to mention you've given us so many ideas. We have a few more to cover, but everything you've said is not for everyone, but there is something there that anyone or everyone can use from your list.
Yes, absolutely.
So someone doesn't have to adopt all these things, but just a few of them.
Right. Take what resonates with you, take what makes sense to you, and use it, and you'll feel better for it.
And if the wind chimes don't work for you, regift it.
Right. Exactly.
Why is breathing so important, especially if we feel pressured, we have a project, we're on the phone?
Yeah, that's a great question. One thing that breath work does is that it brings the body and the mind together in harmony. You are forcing oxygen in and out of your body. That changes the blood flow, it increases it. And in heavy moments, especially when you are stressed out or feeling anxious about something, taking that moment to deep breathe not only does all of these wonderful things for your body, but it brings your mind to a very mindful state. And in that state, you're going to make better decisions. You're going to make wiser calls on whatever it is that you need to be doing. It changes the whole dynamic, the entire body adjusts.
And you're going to decrease your heart rate and maybe do some other good for the physical part of your body.
Absolutely.
Okay, and why are lifesavers so important, and are they really lifesavers?
Well, again, we call them lifesavers, the little candies. We know the individual wrapped. It could be anything, but having something on your desk that is individually wrapped, and it could be a treat, it could be a little something that people could pick up and take with them. Maybe it's personalized Post-it notes. It could be anything that has that sound to it and gives some kind of pleasure, whether it's a taste or a smell or a touch. if you can attach the senses to the sound of that crinkling plastic. There's an ASMR, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's a cognitive piece on relaxing the mind. It really pulls that into it, where we're giving a sound that activates blood flow in the brain.
Okay. Just give us your website again if someone wants to find out more about your book or the other information and tips you offer on your website.
It is balanceyourpath.com.
I would like to thank our guest, Michelle Willette, and she's also the author of 5 Steps to Wellness, for being our guest on Law You Should Know. And these tips apply to lawyers and business people and students. If you'd like to hear these tips again or let someone else know about it, the podcast of this or many other programs of Law You Should Know is available at nccradio.org. And please join us next week at this same time for another program on Law You Should Know, here on 90.3 WHPC FM radio in Garden City, New York, the voice of Nassau Community College.